Welcome, everybody. This is the definitive Velma guide from your boy Batman333. And I'm here to talk a little bit about a fun character that we call Velma Dinkley. Now, she has been sort of chastised as this really bad character, and she's sort of fallen from grace as she was like one of the top tier characters during the open and closed beta for multiverses. And as of late, a lot of people have sort of abandoned this character. She's rated very low on the rankings in terms of all the tier chart rankings. And I'm here today to just kind of showcase sort of a guide and to give players a better idea on how she actually plays. Because I think that there are just a lot of individuals who don't take the time to learn her tools and use them in the way that they're set in the current meta of the game. Currently we're at patch 1.23 or whatever the number is, and they've made some nice adjustments to the character. And it took me a while to actually do a guide for her simply because no one was really playing her but me and a few others out there. But I've noticed a lot more players are starting to use her, and some are kind of unfamiliar as to like how to use her properly. So that's what we're going to cover today, and we'll take a look at a few of her movesets, items in her toolkit, and possible combo routes, and I'll also give some examples of those things during gameplay. So if you are new to my channel, please hit that like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff, because we love to do these videos for the love of the game. And with that said, let's go ahead and get into this video. Okay, first we're going to be taking a look at all of Velma's normals. And I'll go ahead and break each thing down one by one. Basically, I want to cover what your options are and how you're going to apply them to certain attack situations, things of that nature. Okay, so first up, we're going to be looking at her neutral attack, which is basically the megaphone move you see here. It can be done in the air. Another thing that I like to use this for is when you're wall clinging, you can actually use it to kind of snipe people off the edges there. So if anybody's edge guarding or they're dashing up towards the edge, you can use it, to kind of negate any attacks that are coming at you in that, specific instance. But generally, you want to keep your distance. Neutralizing any threats that are jumping at you. You can aim the megaphone up and down. And as you can see here, you can actually combo into it. So it's pretty useful. And you can aim it, in the directions going up and down when you're doing it in a jab combo. But overall, you want to constantly use this to keep pressure on your opponent at a distance. This is her best zoning tool. The longer you charge it, the more knockback you're going to get. But that's going to basically depend on their damage at the time, their damage percentage. So the higher the damage, basically, the more pushback and more knockback you're going to have, to where you can kind of get some KOs if they're at the edge or if they're at any of the blast zones. The best advice I can give when using this move is anticipate your charges, because characters like to jump around a lot, they like to dash, things of that nature. So you want to be aware of the actual distance of the beam, and that's going to be dependent on whether you're doing a short charge or a long charge. Let's see, you want to kind of make sure that you're doing it at the correct hitboxes of the characters and things like that. Next up, let's take a look at her side attack combos. So you can hit left or right and the attack button, and she'll go into her 1 or her 1-2, and then here's her 1-2-3 attack right there. So you can combo into it after the first or the second hit. So you can decide whether to hit them once or twice, and then just sort of go into a down special there. That's another down special that'll pop them up. You can do megaphone, so 1-2 neutral attack, and then 1-2 up attack. and pop characters up that way. So you can kind of keep that attack pressure on your opponent. The most important thing when doing combos with her jab attacks is character position and have a good sense of where their hitboxes are, because you can do these combos that I'm inputting here, which is like going into her down attack. But the thing that you have to be aware of is that there is a window of opportunity where your opponent can dodge after the second hit. So you're not going to always land, say, that down attack. But if you're anticipating a dodge, whether it's left or right or neutral, especially with the new auto tech feature that's in the game, you're able to kind of punish characters as they're dodging through your attack. So if you're interrupting or delaying your jab combos, just be aware of that, and always be aware of your character positioning when trying to land certain combos. All right, so this is a perfect segue into her next move, which is her down attack. It can be charged. As you can see, she starts doing the little mathematical calculations, and then she'll do a ground bounce on the character. Now, the use of this tool is you can combo it, but you need to use it as a starter. As I was implicating earlier, you can go into a 1-2 jab and then go into the down, but they can dodge out of that. But if you start with that move first and pop them up, you can anticipate sort of like jump-ins or dodges and things like that, or dashes, and people will, if they run into it, you can combo extend from the down attack. So let me give you an example on how this move sort of works. It's not the best move, especially because of the startup and stuff, but I wanted to just give you an example to show you what happens when someone dodges or uses a neutral dodge on you when you're trying to input that attack. So as you can see right there, I get the first ground bounce, and then as I go into a combo, obviously the auto tech will happen, but see, it's something that can just be parried. So you want to be careful on your usage of it, and kind of when you're doing mix-ups, you really want to anticipate when someone's jumping in on you when trying to use that move, rather than just trying to do it like a raw input of it, because it can be dodged. So it's not as effective in combos after a 1-2 string, but you definitely can combo from it if you use it as a starter. So I can give you an example of that in this next clip here. So this is an example of what I mean. Anticipate jumps, and right there you can use your down attack and go into some sort of a string. I could have possibly, after the ground bounce, did the 1-2 attack after that, and continue that sort of combination, pressure on the offense. So as you can see, as I'm anticipating the Jason to jump towards me, the moment that you hit them with the down attack, it initiates a ground bounce and brings the character towards you. So your options there, you could side attack, you can megaphone, and you might even be able to do something silly like the running grab that she has. But the strength in that tool is so that you can use it to start your combos. And, it's definitely not a wasted move. It's just, you've got to kind of plan when you want to work that into your combo game. Another great use for this tool is using it as an edge guard. So as you can see, you can kind of keep people at bay when they're trying to do a wall climb, especially if they're during wall fatigue. You can use that down attack to sort of keep them at bay and use it as a good edge guarding tool. I use it quite often. It isn't always guaranteed that you're going to hit them, and you can also get clipped if someone is anticipating that, a character like Batman or Harley Quinn or Bugs Bunny, somebody with like an up special or whatnot can knock you out of that if you're not careful. Overall, this is just an example of things you can do with down attack. It can be switched, moving left to right, and you can technically combo it as long as the person isn't dodging and things like that. But a couple interactions here that I'm showing, obviously if you do 2 ground bounces, the auto tech will take effect. But in that, in the new current meta, people can decide whether they want to dodge neutral, dodge left, or dodge right, and you're going to have to anticipate that when trying to catch people in that move. And so it's, it has good combo potential, but I wouldn't rely on it too much. Okay, next step, we got her up attack, which is generally just her sort of like top blast zone kill, or a move that you can use to knock your opponent up after you've done her 1-2 combo. It can be dash dance, as you can see. That's where it's most effective. When you're inputting your dash and then interrupting it with an up attack. You can do it in the air as you're jumping. You can do it on the ground. It's very fast. They improved this move in this latest patch, or I'm sorry, 2 patches ago or so. I forget when. That was the first move that they adjusted for her. But it can be charged, as you can see. And the longer you charge, the higher the sort of knock-up is, dependent on the damage of the opponent. But see, you can combo it into strings there. Granted that if they're not anticipating a neutral dodge for a parry, but you can combo from her 1-2 attacks and then immediately do like an up special and then do an up attack. It's quite good for kills in that instance that you see right there. I mean, in general, this is definitely going to be your Velma bread and butter, so to speak, because it does have the potential to get early kills. And I heavily use it anytime I'm doing any kind of aerial pursuit, when you're doing those sort of step ladder attacks. So definitely put that in your arsenal. Great move to use. Okay, next up, we're going to be talking about Velma's side attack. This is a move that can be done in the air, it can be done in the ground, and it does have the ability to charge, so you can kind of delay the attack. It does have a pretty decent amount of startup, so you want to be careful with it, but it's a move that you can use in doing her dash dancing or wave dash, or however you want to label it. But see, you can sort of add it into attacks like that, and it's quite effective. Lots of players tend to use this move from the Velma players that I've seen. It can lead into ground combos if you're able to get a good amount of hit stun on them, or you're catching them off guard, and you can have potential cross-up possibilities when you're doing sort of any sort of dodges and things like that. You just have to, again, be aware of the character's hitboxes, so that way you can kind of direct the move, in the way that you want to hit them. But it's a move that you definitely want to anticipate using, because it's one of those things where you just have to have an idea of your opponent's movement, and you want to make sure that they're sort of, you're baiting them into their movement so that you can hit them with that move. It does come out fast, and I think in this last update that they did, this was a move that was adjusted. So definitely use that a lot, and use it with jumping opportunities, as you see here. Okay, so here we are using poor old Jason as an example. I go into a combo string here, and the side attack is really good for kills too, for the side blast zones, as you can see there. Yeah, when you're using side attack, it's definitely something you can use in combos, and I highly recommend using it anytime you can position yourself to do a dash dance or jump, sort of to your opponent, or dodge to the side into your opponent, and it gives you a lot of kills very often. Alright, next up we're going to be looking at Velma's aerial down attack. It's a very good move. It can be charged. It does have still has a bit of a slow startup for my taste, at least comparative to like the beta or whatnot. But it's very good on wall kills. You definitely can anticipate, individuals that like to wall cling, and as they're trying to do their up attack or up special or whatever, you can charge it and kind of delay it enough to where you can get a lot of good wall kills. It can be dash danced, and you can sort of do things like neutral, pop-ups or ground bounces, I should say, and set up combos with it if you're anticipating situations where you can use it and apply it in that way. In 1v1 situations, you're going to use it from time to time, but this move really works well in 2v2s because, you know, you've got multiple players attacking each other or attacking your teammate, and you know, as you're going through the battlefield, you know, as soon as the smoke clears, you can come down, you know, from the skies, just kind of pelting people with that. All right, next up we have our final attack move, which is her dash attack. So you can either hold a direction and press the attack button left or right, or to do the instant dash attack, you can do double tap left or right and then press the attack button. In addition to that instant dash attack, you're able to continually let that attack out if you just simply hold the direction after you press it the second time. So if you hit you know, forward and hold it, then just keep hitting the attack button, and Velma will continue to do those dash attacks. So right there. So it's a really good move to kind of keep pressure going. I mean, it's a little ambiguous and you can kind of see it coming, but you know, if you're able to get proper dodges and anticipate player movement, you're able to you know, utilize it as a pretty good tool offensively. It's really good for edge guarding, especially when people are transitioning back from being knockback situations, when they're about to be on the right or left side of the blast zone and they're trying to make it back to the stage or to the platform. Really good tool for edge guarding. So definitely want to use it a lot there in those kind of situations. So here's a practical scenario where you can use that double dash attack. You see Samurai Jack's trying to basically come at me with his charge, and because, you know, he has to hold that charge, you're able to get a second attack off while he's holding that move. So another sort of applicable way you can use her dash attack. And lastly, you know, you can also sort of do a wave dash. So if you just go left and right and pick a side, left or right, after you do that, you know, wiggle the left and right, you can go into the dash attack. It's a little tricky to pull off. You know, I do it on a D-pad, but if you input it correctly, you'll get that sliding dash attack by just doing sort of that little mini wave dash, if you will. You know, a lot of platform games kind of utilize a tool like that, so you can use the dash attack in that way as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the special attacks. We're going to start with Velma's word bubble projectiles. So that first initial projectile, when it hits the opponent, the little reticle will pop over their head, and it allows you to then throw additional projectiles, the SAS word bubbles, and up to 3 of them. It has a cooldown, so once you've kind of exhausted all the projectiles, you're going to have to wait a little bit before they'll get reset. But what's really good about this move is that once you've locked on to an opponent or a teammate, the word bubbles will travel and follow in their direction and track them as they're moving around on the screen, whether they're dodging, jumping, you know, getting near blast zones, things like that. So with that said, you can use a lot of tricky situations where you can, say, jump off the wall like I was doing there, tag them, and then throw the word bubbles right off the wall if they're on the opposite side of you. But what's really good about this move is that it's her best move in terms of the toolkit that Velma has to, you know, what she has to offer. Simply because those word bubbles can get kills off of ring outs on certain blast zone situations. So if they're at the top, you know, and they're locked on, those word bubbles could travel if their damage is pretty high and get you some really easy kills without you having to be in front of the opponent. And it's really good with your teammates as well if you're doing 2v2, simply because she throws an additional word bubble that's sort of like a buff, and it gives your teammate a haste. And the word bubble that you'll see will say the word Toodles. So you can use that particular projectile to give your teammate a little bit of a speed boost, and, you know, allows them to maybe dodge a little faster, get out an attack a little quicker. And so that's what makes this move very invaluable in 2v2s. All right, another thing to take note of is how her neutral special, the word bubbles, apply on stages that have platforms. You want to be very careful with that. A lot of times people will tend to throw the word bubbles off the platforms thinking it's going to travel down and hit your opponent. That's not going to be the case. You always have to tag them with that first word bubble in order for them to hit. Now, that's different when you're playing 2v2s, because with your opponent, your teammate on your side, it's going to travel the moment that they have any kind of forward movement. So you want to wait until they're ahead of you before you try throwing them. Otherwise, you're going to whiff just like that, where the word bubbles won't travel. So, be very careful with using these on platforms, because like I said, you can put yourself in a situation where you're going to run out of the projectile, and you're going to have to wait a long time for the cooldown to occur, so. But, as long as they're tagged first, it will travel and hit them. Sometimes it's a little situational, but you can also do things like your side attack jab combos, and you can use that as a way to sort of get that initial, word bubble tag, so that you can start chucking them when you move away from them. I don't know how long it lasts in terms of like when you hit the first initial word bubble, and how long the reticle lasts, but you don't want to wait too long. You obviously, once you tag them, you can move away, maybe use your neutral megaphone attack, and then basically go into word bubbles and simply use them to keep your zoning pressure up on the opponent. During the mid-season patch, they actually fixed these, because there was a lot of problems before in the past where they would just sort of hit the ground or hit the platforms and things like that. But they've adjusted sort of the hit area on enemies so that the word bubbles travel properly. It had something to do with the way they were tracking the feet or something of the players, and there were some additional adjustments so that they don't last as long, traveling around in the air when they've locked onto somebody. All right, so let's get into her side special, the running charge, where she takes the opponent for a ride. It's one of the funniest moves in the game. I love this move. I use it quite often, and it catches a lot of people off guard. It can get kills. It can, hit multiple people sometimes, get double ring outs. I mean, all kinds of things. There's different degrees of it. So you can just simply press, left or right, and then the special button, and she'll do it. Or you can simply hold the button and then let it go, and then you'll do that really big rushing in, and grab them, and it hits them on walls. It breaks and destroys walls. You can do it from pretty much full screen, but if you don't do a full charge, she'll stop short just like that. So if you slightly, hold it a little bit longer, she'll fall down. But then if you do the full charge, it goes all the way across, boom. And then, if there's a wall right there, it does some massive damage when you use it. So definitely try using that move in a lot of situations. You can combo it sometimes. And it's not a true combo, but what's good about it is, like, you see, when you're popping them up like that, they're going to try to recover. And so a lot of times they're either going to dodge into it, or sometimes they'll dodge, right through it, if they've got their dodge meter. But if they're fatigued, and they're burnt out, you're going to catch them a lot of times with this move. I have several videos and clips of me, just catching them in weird spots. And so I think this is a move that's really underutilized in the game. And, I think players that use Velma should definitely add it to their sort of toolkit when they're trying to set up, grounded attacks. Now, I don't know what happened, but previously, like especially back in the beta, they've had a lot of weird issues with the move itself. It used to be able to grab your teammate as well, but there was a lot of glitches where, like, players would get stuck or handcuffed, to Velma. And so they removed that feature. Sometimes it seems like it comes off and works, but other times it doesn't. I know Gizmo has a similar move like that, where he can attach himself to his teammate and attack people with that move. All right, let's talk about Velma's second strongest move, if not her first strongest move. It's between this and the word bubbles. But this move now is a godsend. What she will do when you do down special, she'll throw that book projectile out, and once it hits an opponent, or as it's traveling and you're with a teammate and it hits an opponent, it gives your team longer or a faster cooldown on your moves. So it's a temporary buff, but you'll know the buff is inactive when their heads are large. So that's why, when you see the big heads, that's letting you know that cooldown is in effect. So, but what they've done with this move is they've adjusted it to basically be pretty strong. The initial, move itself is just a projectile. So you'll throw a book out, you can dodge, hit them on the opposite side there. You can do things like, you can sort of do things like combo into it from your jab combos and throw the book, and it's just a way to get that initial cooldown active. And there you go right there. But what's cool about this move itself is that once the book projectile has been thrown out, you can still do the move and use it as an attack. And I always wondered and thought that that's something that they should do with her moves that have the long cooldown, because the book itself, it takes forever for it to regenerate. So what they've done to sort of compensate for that is they've made it so that once you try to throw it out a second time, you go into this down attack. It can be grounded, it can be done in the air, but it's a down special. And what's nice about it is that if you have its flammable dock perk on, the one where you can ignite players and put them on fire and everything, that move right there is both an attack and it counts as a projectile. So it's almost like it serves two purposes with that perk, and that is the best perk with her. You'll find that you'll do a lot more damage. I'm finding that I'm averaging a lot more damage output on matches, both in 2v2s and 1v1s. Before I used to average about 113, 120, and now I'm getting easily, 200s, in terms of the damage output. But that's what's really awesome about this move is, you can combo it and you can use it for aerial pursuit. You can do it after jab combos. You can jump in the air and do dash dances, throw the long book, go into a combo, and then hit them more with it, throw word bubble projectiles, and then combo into it and go for these like crazy early kills. I mean, this move will extend your combo game tremendously, and I highly recommend that you use this move. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about her up special, and this happens to be her most underwhelming move. Not the camera flash, but the ice vial, where you drop some goo on the ground and you can freeze your opponents if they sit in it long enough. It generally takes about 15 clicks before they sit in there and become frozen. And while they're frozen, they're stunned for a little while, but it just doesn't have any really good utility anymore. And look how long it takes, I mean, yeah, you can get something out of it, but you're never going to really catch anybody in that. Even in 2v2s, the closest you'll be able to get someone in that is if you trap someone by a wall and you and your teammate trap that character in the middle. And then, after it's been thrown out, sometimes I'll throw it on the edges, for edge guarding so that they jump into it, but it doesn't really have any utility. And you're really just simply using it so that you can get rid of it to use her real up special. And that's going to be her, aerial or grounded up special after the goo has been thrown. Now that right there is the move that will get you many, many, many good ring outs. You'll get double ring outs. It's really strong on kills when you're near the ceiling of a blast zone, especially if it's a low-lying ceiling. But it can be comboed into, you can do stuff like that. And so you want to throw that goo out so that you can go into the camera flash, and so you can kind of set yourself up combos like that, and get these nice early kills, with different combinations. You can do her aerial side special, up attack, down special, and it's just a really strong move overall. All right, so the last move we're going to talk about is her aerial side special. That's the one where she throws out the book and travels either left or right, depending on which direction you point it at. And what's really unique about this move is they've adjusted it so that it doesn't have as much of a knockback per se. I mean, it never really did. But what was nice about the move is that you can use it for cross-up situations just like that. And also, depending on like if the damage output is really high on the character, it'll stack, the directional influence. So they increase that number so that, even though the knockback isn't as much, because the directional influence is stacked, you can potentially get some really strong kills and knockouts with this move. But what's tricky with the move is that, you have to hold left or right and then press, your special button. But you can do a quick turn in midair, so that way you're able to do it on the opposite side. And see, you'll do a move like that where it'll push the opposite way. And that's how you actually want to use the move, because then you can set up little combos like that. It's a move that I have found, will extend from various things, from her up special, the camera flash, from her down special, the downwards book, that she does. And so you could be really creative and have a lot of, player expression and combo expression using that particular move if you know how to set it up properly. One of the things you need to be aware of is be careful using it around platforms, because you can get tripped up if you're not aligned up, properly. But it's very deceptive because, when you're using a lot of your dash cancels or your dash dancing, you can combo into it very easily. But like I said, when you get near a platform, sometimes you're going to find yourself trying to like input moves, and like say that down book could come out, and it really depends on your control scheme. Like I said, use the D-pad, so I'm able to, do them fairly easily, but I find myself getting a lot of missed inputs, a lot of down book input attacks or down special attacks instead of trying to do the side aerial, so just something to be aware of. And then also too, if you touch the ground on a platform, you're going to end up running and do the running charge, and so that can kind of trip you up a lot too if you're not careful. But for the most part, it's it's all about input timing and just sort of muscle memory and practice. With due time, you'll get used to inputting it properly so that you can do a lot of those, unique cross-up opportunities that she has. Okay, now I know I said that was her last move in her list, and that's why I saved this one for last. And this is going to be, we're going to go into the sort of what I like to refer to this as her super move. She's the only character in the game to really have something like this, which is what makes her very unique. But essentially, she gets to call out the mystery machine van, and it'll trap your enemies in it. The older version of the game allowed multiple people to be added to it, but they've only made it to where only one character can be in there now. But before you can actually call it out, you have to collect these little evidence, little magnifying glasses in order to do it. And there's certain moves that actually trigger those to come out. It's the up attack, I believe her down attack, and her side attack. Maybe even like her book, but there you go. Once you get enough of the evidence, clue evidence things, it'll call out the mystery machine. Now, one thing to keep note of is that when you do call it out, it can be damaged. So whether you're hitting it, your teammates are hitting it, or the opponents are hitting it, you don't want to damage it if someone is trapped in there, unless it's at, because it has a little bit lower health. So you want to be cautious about, using that up or whatever. But for the most part, the higher damage that a person, is at, the van actually stays out a lot longer or keeps them trapped in it a lot longer. So you generally don't want to try to get them when their health is a little lower. But you can get some really good, unique kills with it. And, almost like a automatic kill. And there you go. See, and so now that they have higher damage, you can hit the van and it won't destroy as fast. The nice thing about the mystery machine move is that when the evidence appears on the screen, your teammates can pick those up and it'll count towards your collection of them. So you can build them up pretty fast. And so this would be an example of how you can get like a unique kill, you know. And as you can see, it's pretty devastating. You get a lot of KOs that way. So these next set of clips are simply to show how you can get opponents into the van. You generally want to trigger it when you're not at the corner, or any of the corners really, but like see for instance this Harley is just going to stay above on the platforms with nowhere to go. So ideally that was a good positioning for this, and you know, she makes some mistakes and lands right into it. So that's one method of getting them into a kill. Another thing that happens is that people have the ability to try to damage it, to destroy it, but in doing that it can get hit into an opponent, and that's something that you definitely don't want to have happen to you. So this is what happens here to the Batman. He's going to try to hit it. I call it down on the corner, and see, and it captures him and gets the KO. So that's how you want to use the van. Well, with that said, that brings us to the end of all of Velma's move list. So I'm going to go ahead and just show what Velma can do. And this is live gameplay, you know, various clips of matches that I've played, you know, using her, playing against her, that sort of thing. So enjoy the rest of the video. If you have any questions or you want to add to anything that I've had, you know, talked about in this video, leave them in the comments, and maybe we'll collaborate and do a update or whatever. But those are, you know, my little thoughts on Velma and how you should use her. And hopefully everything that I've shown in the video today is a little helpful for those who are just looking to try her out, despite hearing that she's a bad character and all that stuff. I can tell you from my personal experience, I've played this game since the closed beta, and I've used her since then. I've used her when she was at top of the S tiers to where she's, you know, to the bottom of the low tiers. And I think that right now she's in a really comfortable place, and I'm enjoying using her still to this day. So if any of this makes sense to you, and you, like I said, enjoyed this video, definitely leave a like and subscribe, and certainly share this video for all you Velma mains or potential Velma mains that may be out waiting in the shadows, ready to unleash the power of this awesome character. And I've been your host, Batman333. I hope to see you in the next video, and enjoy the rest of the clips. Peace.